this morning, we come on the air with some good news for a change. The Miami-Dade County Commission voted unanimously this week to move forward with opening the Miami Center for Mental Health and Recovery.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show the item officially passed. Congratulations, sir.
The man being congratulated is retired Judge Steve Leifman, who has worked for the past 2 decades to make this center a reality. After the vote, Mayor Danielle Levine-Cava and Judge Leifman spoke to reporters.
This man never gave up. He never lost hope. There were definitely times when we weren't quite sure how we were going to get this across the finish line, but his total dedication, his passion, his knowledge and experience, and he's like the Pied Piper.
You know, mental illness, and it was talked about before, and the mayor talked about stigma. This isn't something most people want to talk about. It's easy to ignore. Most of the reform you see in the United States is coming through the judiciary. It's not the executive or legislative branches. And it's really because we're at the front line too. I used to tell people, and it wasn't a joke, that as a judge in the criminal division, I saw more people with serious mental illnesses in a day than most psychiatrists saw in a month. And that says it all. And we were just tired, and are tired around the country, of trying to deal with a problem that we don't have an answer for when we know there's an answer.
At any given moment, 1,000 people with mental illnesses are languishing in the county's jails, not receiving the treatment they desperately need. This center could help many of them trapped in a system where their only real crime is being homeless and mentally ill. Voters approved a bond issue to build the center back in 2004, and after numerous delays, the building was finally completed 2 years ago. Yet it remained empty, helping no one. We'll get into why in a moment, but first, I had a chance to speak to Judge Leifman after the vote. Steve, this has been a long journey.
Huge.
What are your feelings right now?
A little overwhelmed, but appreciative. You know, I wish it didn't take this long. Politics, I guess, are what they are. But I think the most gratifying part is once the community learned about the issue, they stepped up too. And I don't think we would have gotten the response we got today without that happening. And I think, you know, I look forward, I don't look back, and I just appreciate that it got done. And I mostly appreciate the fact that we're going to help the most vulnerable people that need it.
Talk about that. Talk about what this will mean going forward.
People have a tendency to look at this population without understanding. It's kind of like cancer. We have stage 1 through 4. And for the stage 4 individual with serious mental illnesses, there's nothing for them. In the United States, it's not just Miami. And so we have allowed them to just continuously cycle through these horrible acute systems, homelessness, hospitalizations, and jails, again and again and again. We know who they are. It's not that many people. And this building will provide them the level of care that was promised to them when community mental health was supposed to be devised in 1960. It just never materialized. And I think we're going to see a huge, huge result that will result in saving taxpayer money, improving public safety, but most importantly, giving this population an opportunity to have a life of hope and opportunity that they've been deprived of since we shut down all the hospitals.
And we've seen this. So many family members, we all have been touched by this.
Everybody, no one's exempt.
Was there a moment where you didn't think this was going to happen, where all the years, all the effort just was going to be for naught?
I was concerned, but I got to tell you, I never gave up hope, never. And I just deep down have always believed, and maybe it's my personality or how I was raised, if you do the right thing for the right reason, the good people are going to stand with you, and they did. And so I never gave up. I doubt sometimes, but generally, you know, I felt pretty good. And when you came into the picture, it gave me renewed hope, and it didn't change. And so thank you to you, your station, and the legacy of your station that has always been dealing with this issue. So thank you.
So why did it take so long? Look, there were mistakes made by the supporters of the center, including Judge Leifman, who promised the center would pay for itself. Let's be real, nothing is ever free. But there was also a lot of pettiness by critics whose motivation seemed to be rooted in the desire to prevent Raquel Regalado, the commissioner sponsoring the legislation to open the center, a victory. For months, a handful of county commissioners, led by Chairman Anthony Rodriguez and fellow Commissioner Danielle Cohen-Higgins, blocked the center from coming up for a vote. Worse, they trafficked in lies and misinformation about the center. And even though funding for the first 3 years of the center was already in place, they kept wondering if a county with a $15 billion budget could really afford to spend perhaps $10 or $12 million 5 years from now to help people with mental illnesses. This is what Rodriguez said during a committee hearing last month.
You know, it's easy to, put your hand on your forehead and go and shake your head. Like, what are these commissioners not understanding? Like, don't they understand we need this? It's how will it be paid for? Like, how are we're going to open this for 2 to 3 years, and then how do we continue it? This is real. I mean, money, despite what people think, money doesn't grow on trees for government.
Of course, this was the same commissioner who a couple of months earlier famously said this when it came to spending nearly $2 million to update design plans for the equestrian center for his beloved rodeo.
But a measly $1.85 million allocation to an architectural agreement that is necessary to comply with what the voters voted for gets a tweet from the fake news Herald.
A measly $1.85 million. Every time I hear it, incredible. But thankfully, other commissioners, most notably Regalado, who championed the issue for years, as well as Commissioners Oliver Gilbert and Keone McGee, Marlene Bastian, and others, made it clear that getting this center open was not only the right thing to do, but it may be one of the most important things they ever do.
We're going to pass hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of legislation from this dais, but I do honestly believe this is going to be one of those most consequential ones that we'll be able to look back on and identify that moment and that memory that actually gave birth to something that so many people in this community definitely need.
This was not easy when we started working on it, and we've come very far. And I want to thank you all for your support. I know that there were moments that were difficult, but I truly believe that leadership is about creating consensus, not gauging it. So I think that today is a wonderful day.
But the real credit goes to the community. People from all walks of life stepped up and said enough was enough. Miami Archbishop Thomas Wensky spoke out in support of the center. Business leaders, homeless advocates, community activists, local and state politicians all kept the pressure on. One of the groups at the forefront was PACT, People Acting for Community Together. More than 800 people showed up recently at a forum to push for the mental health center and demand the commission act. This was their victory. And after last week's vote, I spoke to one of the leaders from PACT, Rabbi Jessica Jacobs from Temple Beth Shalom.
Why is this important?
Yeah.
What difference is this going to make in the end?
Well, I think that we all know someone with mental health challenges, with substance abuse disorders, right? Whether that's in our families, in our communities. And we're talking about the people who are most left out of our community, who are most severely in need. But this is also really very much a Jewish value. So in the Talmud, in our rabbinic text, in the book of Brachot, there's a piece of text of this Rabbi Yochanan, who constantly goes to visit people who are mentally and physically ill, and he reaches out his hand to them and they're always magically healed. But then Rabbi Yochanan himself falls ill, and the Talmud asks, why doesn't he heal himself? And it says, because a prisoner cannot free himself from prison, right? It is up to us to help free those in our community who are imprisoned by mental illness, by substance abuse disorder. It's our job to help them. We cannot expect them to help themselves. And so today I feel like we've really accomplished that.
How challenging was it when you hear so much of the conversation about money?
Yeah.
About, well, we can't do this because can we afford to help these people? Can we afford to help folks who are less fortunate than ourselves? That was really the last
hurdle,
stumbling
100%.
hurdle.
Right. I mean, we heard today over and over again that we've all been in support of this the entire time. Money has always been the challenge. We spend money on so many things that in my mind are less important than this. And it has been a challenge the entire time to be able to push forward and say, like, why aren't we putting money towards the people in our community who are vulnerable when we're putting money towards so many other issues? I mean, that came up over and over and over again. It's certainly been frustrating, and I really commend the judge and I commend our community on pushing forward and saying, like, if we're going to put money towards anything, it's towards this.
It's a matter of priorities. It's setting priorities.
100%. It's a matter of setting priorities.
And here was another local activist from PACT, Taisha Anthony.
So many people just worked together on this, and it wasn't an easy fight because we've been to this chamber many times and disappointed, walked away, not with a vote, walked away with a delay, with, we'll channel it for another day, and to finally have it come to fruition and everyone vote unanimously on it, it means the world. It means the world.
It does show that ordinary people can make a difference.
Absolutely.
When they stand up and speak together.
Absolutely, absolutely. We fought the good fight. We made appointments with each commissioner's office individually. We had Zoom meetings. We had in-person meetings. We tabled with them. We talked to them in sidebar when we were here in chambers. When we saw them out in the community, we sent emails. We made sure that they knew that this was a very important issue, not just for PAC, not for any one person. A lot of people refer to it as the Leifman building, but this is bigger than Judge Leifman. This is about the many, many, many people that suffer from mental health in Miami-Dade County who are now going to get the resources that they need.
And in the end, that's what really matters. As they like to say at PAC, let justice roll. But there was one final twist to this story I wanted to share. Once Anthony Rodriguez realized the measure was going to pass and that there was really no way for him to stop it, he didn't just jump on the bandwagon, he decided to hijack it. In a truly stunning move, he used his power as the chairman to strip Raquel Regalado's name off the legislation and put his own name on as the primary sponsor. And within minutes of the item passing, he issued a press release taking personal credit for the mental health center. I think that's what Rabbi Jacobs might call chutzpah.